in my heart, I'm gonna sing till the Spirit moves in my heart. I'm gonna sing till Jesus comes.
Annual Sabbaths, he said, these are the feasts of the Lord, even holy convocations, which ye shall proclaim in their seasons. Okay, it starts with the first one is the Passover. Immediately after that, the next day is the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Then you have Pentecost. Then you have the Memorial of Blowing of the Trumpets. Then you have this one we're dealing with right now, the Day of Atonement. In verse 26 it reads, And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Also on the 10th day of the 7th month, there shall be a day of atonement. It shall be an holy convocation unto you. And ye shall afflict your souls, and offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. So this is a day in which you was to afflict your soul. Now let's go to Ezra, the 8th chapter, to find out what that means. What does it mean to afflict one's soul? We need to find that out. Because you got some people in religions who literally beat each other with whips and bleed in the name of their God. You read about what happened, it's quite similar to what happened in the days of Elijah and the prophets of Baal, and how they stabbed themselves. And how they stabbed themselves for their God. But let's find out what it means to afflict one's soul. This is Ezra, the 8th chapter. Ezra, the 8th chapter. And let's see. Ezra, the 8th chapter. And the 21st verse. It reads, Then I proclaimed a fast there at the river of Ahava, that we might afflict ourselves before our God, to seek of him a right way for us, and for our little ones, and for all our substance. Okay, so again, you see the example of one who was fasting, how they fasted to seek God. Alright? And they said that was the affliction. That's the affliction that he's talking about. Okay, so just so we're clear. Okay, let's go back to Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, to see what else is necessary. So you fast, you don't eat, you don't drink that whole day, from evening to evening, on the 10th day of the 7th month. Okay, and it says in the 28th verse of Leviticus 23, And ye shall do no work in that same day, for it is a day of atonement, to make an atonement for you before the Lord your God. Some of the feast days, alright, like the Feast of Unleavened Bread, alright, some work, no servile work is required, meaning you wouldn't go to your job on that day. But you can do the cooking and so forth that is necessary for the feast. That's work, but that's necessary for the feast. Here, since there's no food, you're not feasting on anything but God's word, you don't need to be working or cooking or anything. No work. So that stipulation is made. 28 again, it says, And ye shall do no work in that same day, for it is a day of atonement, to make an atonement for you before the Lord your God. And it says, For whatsoever soul it be that shall not be afflicted or fast in that same day, he shall be cut off from among his people. And whatsoever soul it be that doeth any work in that same day, the same soul will I destroy from among his people. See, the Lord is quite clear on what he requires of us. He's clear also that he wants us to keep this day. But let's keep reading, because I just want to make that point clear. Ye shall do no manner of work. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations in all your dwellings. So even though we dwell here in the United States and Brazil and in parts of Africa and Europe and Asia, in captivity, so-called Middle East, we are supposed to be keeping this Day of Atonement, wherever we dwell in it. Just like the Jews did, the Israelites did when they came back to keep Pentecost. At that time, they had been spread throughout a lot of the different nations. Okay, but they came back because that was the law. That 3 times a year you're supposed to appear before the Lord. Now we can't do that now, but nevertheless, because we're not in a position to do it, but nevertheless, we still need to be honoring this day. We need to do what we can do. Alright? So let's go to Let's read 27. It says, also on the 10th day of this 7th month, there shall be a day of atonement. It shall be an holy convocation unto you, and you shall afflict your souls and offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. All right, now let's go to Leviticus 16 to find out what was going on in this day. And I'm going to point out to you, again, that the plan of salvation for man is through his feast days. And he shows you something. This feast day points to Jesus. This points to Jesus because he is our atonement. Okay, so we're going to look at what happened on this day. Let's go to Leviticus, the 16th chapter and verse 1. It says, and the Lord spake unto Moses after the death of the two sons of Aaron when they offered before the Lord and died. Because they offered some strange incense. Strange fire before the Lord. And he killed them on the spot. Even though these are the same ones in the Exodus, I believe, around the 24th chapter, or 19th chapter. Can't remember right off the top of my head. But they ate and drank with God. They saw God. Aaron, Nadab, and Abihu, who was 70 of the elders, and Moses, they saw God, ate and drank with God. They offered some strange fire to God. And he killed them right on the spot. Okay? So that might have been, hold on, that might have been Leviticus, the 10th chapter, that took place. Yeah, that was Leviticus, the 10th chapter when they were killed. Okay? And nevertheless, in verse 2, and the Lord said unto Moses, speak unto Aaron thy brother, that he come not at all times into the holy place within the veil before the mercy seat, which is upon the ark, that he die not. For I will appear in the cloud upon the mercy seat. Okay? So he was supposed to come into that holy place not at all times, but once a year. And the Lord was going to appear there. It says, thus shall Aaron come into the holy place with the young bullock for a sin offering, and a ram for a burnt offering. Alright? It says, and he shall put on a holy linen coat, and he shall have the linen breeches upon his flesh, and shall be girded with a linen girdle, and with a linen mitre shall he be attired, and these are holy garments. Therefore shall he wash his flesh in water, and so put them on. And he shall take of the congregation of the children of Israel 2 kids of the goats for a sin offering, and 1 ram for a burnt offering. And Aaron shall offer his bullock of the sin offering, which is for himself, and make an atonement for himself and for his house. See, this high priest made the atonement, but since he was a man that had sinned and all has come short of the glory of God, he had to make an atonement for himself and for his house first. And he shall take the 2 goats and present them before the Lord at the door of the congregation. Excuse me, before the Lord at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And Aaron shall cast lots upon the 2 goats, 1 lot for the Lord, and the other lot for the scapegoat. And Aaron shall bring the goat upon which the Lord's lot fell, and offer him for a sin offering. So he's going to take 2 goats, and he was going to cast lots over these goats to determine what was going to be the result, or what was going to happen to one of these goats, or both of these goats. One, he said, the one that the Lord's lot fell, that was going to be the sin offering. All right? And that points to Jesus. It says, but the goat on which the lot fell to be the scapegoat shall be presented alive before the Lord, to make an atonement with him, and to let him go for a scapegoat into the wilderness. That also points to Jesus. What does that point to? Everything that's going on right now is pointing to Jesus. From even what Aaron did, going before the Lord, making an atonement for himself and for his house. All right? Making intercession. All right? That points to what Jesus did. Because he's taking back that position of high priest after the order of Melchizedek. He's taking that back, and that's what he does, sits on the right hand of the Father, making atonement for man. Or making an intercession for man. Now, when it talks about that one goat that the Lord's lot fell on, that's a sin offering, that points to Jesus. Because he is that sin offering that had to die for the sins of the world and shed his blood for mankind. Then when it talks about that goat that went into the wilderness, that's pointing to Jesus, because that is representative of his death and resurrection and him ascending up to heaven. See, brothers and sisters, some would teach that this has something to do, part of this has, one represents Satan. Satan has nothing to do with this. This is Lord's feast day. This has nothing to do with Satan. This is representative of what Jesus was going to do. Just like the Passover. Just like the Feast of Weeks. And how he is the first fruits. And he's the first fruits that have more to come, which are those at his resurrection.